In this video, we're going to compare a buy and hold scenario over 17 years. You're buying 3 oceanfront condos in your first 7 years. You're going to hold them and sell them over 17 years versus fixing and flipping 4 oceanfront condos that are 2 bedrooms every year for the next 17 years. We're going to take into account the time value of money. We're going to look at the internal rate of return. We're going to check out the net present value, and we're going to see which set of cash flows is the best move for you. Let's get into the video now. All right, now let's do the breakdown on buying and holding, okay? That's going to entail purchasing, in our example, a 3-bedroom, 2-bathroom oceanfront condo over at the Dunes Village Resort. Now, that purchase price was $485,000. You're only going to pay, because in my mind, financing is the best way to go about this because it's less money out of your pocket. So I've chosen to use financing instead of a full cash purchase. And I would imagine more people finance. Now, you'll pay into this deal 20% down. That's $97,000. I've got your gross rental income at $103,398. Yes, I did find a unit on site, 3 bedrooms, 2 bathrooms, in our MLS that had posted that they made $103,398. So I've used that as the GRI. Now, you've got an Airbnb platform fee of 3% of your gross rental income of $3,101.94. If you subtract that from the $103,398 GRI, you are left with a subtotal of $100,296.06. Now, your principal and interest on this loan was $34,968. That does assume an 8.25% interest rate fixed over 30 years. So that's your annual principal and interest payment. Your property taxes were $4,242.80. That's for the year. Your cleaning services were $6,000. Now, cleaning services are based on 30 cleanings at $200 per cleaning. It could be less, it could be more. It depends on what your strategy is. Most likely, in your first year of renting on Airbnb, you're really going to want to get that superhost status. So you're going to allow for a lot shorter stays, 1 day, 2 day, 3 days, and then and the reason why is because you want to get lots of reviews on Airbnb so that you look credible, which is great. Now, after you get established, you're probably going to shorten or lengthen that minimum stay to a week, which is what many people do in our market. So then your cleaning costs will obviously vary based on, if someone can rent it 1 day, you're going to have a lot of cleaning costs. If someone can rent it only 7 days, you're going to have a lot less. So that number could fluctuate. Now, your excise tax, $691. Your excise tax is for you to own and operate a short-term vacation rental business in Myrtle Beach, South Carolina. That is a base fee of $145 for your first $2,000 in gross rental income. After that, it's $6 per $1,000 you make in GRI. In our instance here, you're at $691 for the year. Now, your local hospitality and accommodations tax, that's $3,101.94. It is 3% of the gross rental income that you made on the unit. 1.5% goes to Horry County, and 1.5% goes to the city of Myrtle Beach. Definitely check with your platforms that you're renting on to make sure they are collecting the appropriate taxes. Now, your annualized HOA dues came out to $19,728. If those operating expenses bring you to a subtotal of $68,731.74. If you subtract the $68,731.74 from the subtotal up top of $100,296.06, you're left with a projected profitability of $31,564.32. Now, additionally, you're making annual profits of $31,000 a year based off of our numbers here. Additionally, you're also going to collect appreciation. I pulled the appreciation, and you're looking at right around $20,600 a year. So if you take the $31,564.32 plus the $20,600, you're left with like 52. I want to say it's 52,164, but we're about to get into that next. All right, guys, now let's walk through buying and holding Myrtle Beach Oceanfront Condos, 3 bedrooms, 2 bathrooms at Dunes Village over the course of 17 years. Now, I had to do 17 years because I'm assuming that you're starting from the ground up. I'm assuming that you've saved $97,000 for your down payment on your first one, and then you're going to collect and build equity, reinvesting all of your profits back into your units, and then by year 4, buying a second oceanfront condo, and by year 7, buying a third oceanfront condo, so that within 10 years you own 3 oceanfront condos. And then we're also going to assume that you're going to be selling those off after owning each of them for 10 years. Now let's kind of walk through what this looks like. Your first year, you've got a $97,000 down payment to get into this investment. Each year after that, you're going to collect appreciation on that condo, and you're going to collect the annual profits. That's the $31,564.32 plus the $20,600 in appreciation. So for years 0, all you have is a $97,000 down payment. Years 1 through 3, you're collecting the appreciation and the rental income. Now, in year 4, you have a buy event. You've spent 3 years depositing equity into your oceanfront condo. You're going to pull that money out. You're going to pay another $97,000 down on a second oceanfront condo. So basically, you're still going to be bringing in, though, that $52,164 in annual profit from your first oceanfront condo. So that year is going to look like you being negative $44,836. And again, that is $97,000 down payment coming out of that $52,164 in annual profit from your other oceanfront condo. Now, moving right along, years 5 through 6, you now have annual profit from 2 oceanfront condos. That's $52,164 times 2. That's $104,328. That's years 5 and 6. Now, in year 7, you have another buy event. So you're going to spend another $97,000 in down payment money, minus your annual profits from 2 oceanfront condos, which leaves you positive $7,328. Now you own 3 oceanfront condos. Years 8 and 9, you have annual profits from 3 oceanfront condos. That's $52,164 times 3. Year 10, you're selling the first oceanfront condo that you purchased. So you have a sell event for your first condo. The down payment is returned to you plus the total appreciation. So we've got $97,000 plus $206,000. So you can see there that you have a $303,000 sales proceeds event that's taken place, in addition to those annual profits that you've collected on 3 oceanfront condos. So I'm assuming that you've sold this oceanfront condo at the end of the year, so you've collected all of those profits on it. Now, and that was a year 10 event. Next, we have years 11 through 13. You've got annual profits from 2 condos. That's $104,328. Obviously, each condo is making $52,164 each. Year 14, you have annual profits from 2 condos plus a sales event. Again, that is that $97,000 in down payment money returned to you plus the $206,000 in appreciation for a sales proceeds of $303,000. And then you're still collecting annual profits of $52,164 on 2 condos, giving you that cash flow of $104,328. Now, year 15 through 16, you're just collecting annual profits from 1 oceanfront condo for $52,164. And then finally, in year 17, you are having a sales event on the final oceanfront condo that you purchased in your first decade of buying, and you're still collecting the annual profits on it for that year. Now, this is what I want to walk you through. So this financial calculator that you're checking out today is going to take into account a 12% discount rate. What that's telling us is, we've got to, as an investor, at least make 12% on this investment, because we have other options and alternatives where we can make 10 or 11%. So this needs to be better than our other options, basically. We've got something else that can give us 8 to 10. We want to make sure that we get at least 12% out of this deal. All right, so I've used a 12% net present value discount rate. Now, the net present value of all of these cash flows considered over 17 years is $616,539. We are in the clear using that 12% discount rate of $616,539. There's an internal rate of return on this deal of 55.24%. I think it's mighty impressive. All right, now let's look through and talk through some of the advantages and challenges of buying and holding, guys. Passive income. This is an advantage. All of these advantages. It's steady rental income from short-term vacation rentals. We have 20 to 22 million visitors that visit our market each year. There is strong rental demand. Number 2 vacation market in the U.S. Equity growth. Appreciation builds wealth over time. There's a compounding effect. Scaling up to multiple properties increases income exponentially. There's tax benefits, which I did not take into account in this analysis. Depreciation, mortgage interest deductions, and 1031 options. So that's a whole nother thing I didn't even open up, that you get advantages that you don't get when you do a fix and flip. Or it might be a little bit more challenging to do those with a fix and flip, but if you do have a CPA that can run that type of analysis for you, you certainly could take advantage of some of those benefits. Now, resiliency to market fluctuations. Short-term rentals generate cash flow even if appreciation slows, which is another plus of owning them. Now, some of the challenges are, you got market risk. Short terms have regs and seasonal slowdowns. But I really don't imagine any of our regulations really hurting you. I don't know of any that are actually hurting you. I will say that it is definitely seasonal. Our peak season's April through September. The peak of the peak, June, July, and August, though you should make enough money on your oceanfront condo to essentially pay all the operating expenses for the entire year. And if you don't believe me, just ask Matt Freeze, who I interviewed on the channel, who owns 11 oceanfront condos, because that came right out of his mouth. Now, so yes, there are seasonal slowdowns for sure. There's going to be some fluctuation. Management intensive. Now, it requires professional property management or active oversight. Now, in my opinion, you can completely run this entire business right from your iPhone. Matt Freeze owns 11 oceanfront condos, and he's out of state, and he runs it from his iPhone. And he's got a full-time job as a mortgage broker and owns his own firm. Gosha Cook manages 110 properties, has her own firm, and manages her own 15 oceanfront condos herself. I mean, people do this all the time. Technology has made it super simple to self-manage, in my opinion. I think it's the way to go. Now, higher upfront investment. Yes, you do need capital for down payment and reserves. But in my opinion, of course, a down payment, with financing is a whole lot less than buying the thing outright. But you're going to need capital when you're doing fix and flips too. So, I think that's kind of a wash. So I went into our MLS, I pulled all the 2-bedroom oceanfront condos, and I did back of the napkin math to see if they would be good for fix and flips, if there was enough spread. Essentially, I looked up at that particular resort what the high sales price was in the last 12 months on a 2-bedroom oceanfront condo. Then I looked at the asking price of the currently active listing. I subtracted the asking price from the high sales price and found out what the spread was. Then I simply plugged into back of the napkin, stuff real quick, expenses. All right, there's going to be brokerage fees to sell this property. There's going to be a remodel cost to fix it up. There's going to be attorney fees. And I kind of totaled those 3 things together to get a total fee. Then I subtracted that from the spread, which leaves the profit or loss margin. It's really simple math. and I did some general numbers for your cost there at the bottom. 1 bedrooms, 2 bedrooms, 3 bedrooms, 4. We only did 2 bedrooms. I said a 2-bedroom reno would run you $30,000. Nothing major, pretty general. It could be less, it could be more, but the point is just to size up the deal quickly to make sure that it's worth our time to further investigate. What you're looking at on your screen, guys, are the top 4 deals, the top 4 fix and flip deals in Myrtle Beach, South Carolina currently, in my opinion. Now, basically, you'll see the very first one has an $83,560 profit on it. The next one has an $18,560 profit on it. Your next one has a $32,406 profit on it. Your final one has a $33,060 profit on it. Now, I've summed all those up. Let's say that you did all of those in 1 year. That's $167,586 in total profit, potentially, that you could make in 1 year doing 4 fix and flips. Now, I've also summed up your down payment. That's $278,760. Those 2 numbers are going to be very important when running our cash flow analysis and taking into account the time value of money, so we can compare over 17 years if buying and holding 3 oceanfront condos is better than fixing and flipping 4 deals each year. Let's keep going. All right, now these cash flows are real simple and real easy, guys. Essentially, your $278,760 expense each year is the down payment on all 4 of those current fix and flips I found. So let's just assume that every year you're going to spend about $278,760 in renoing, in down payments on condos that you're going to fix and flip. And then the $446,657 is the sum of all your profit on your fix and flips plus your initial investment in those fix and flip deals. So that's $167,586. That's your profit. Plus you're getting back your down payment money of $278,760. Now, if you do 4 of these deals just like this every year over 17 years, you have a net present value, and I've plugged in a net present value discount rate of 12%. We want to keep that the same on both deals so that we're accurately comparing them. We're saying, hey, I need to get at least 12% for my money on this. At that rate, the net present value on these cash flows is actually $916,605, which is substantially higher than your buy and hold. Now, your internal rate of return was 60.21%, which was just a little bit higher than your buy and hold. Now, let's look at these side by side. So mainly, I just want to draw your attention to that on the left side of the screen, we have our fix and flip, 17 years. We're buying 4 properties every single year. We're fixing them, we're flipping them, we're making that same profit. It's basically the same setup every single year for 17 years. At a 12% discount rate, that's worth $916,605. Now on the right side of the screen, that's our buy and hold. We're buying 3 condos in our first 10 years, actually in our first 7 years, but in our first decade, and we're selling them off over the course of 17 years in total. All that said, the net present value of that deal is $616,539. As you can see, we're talking about a $300,000 difference if we go the fix and flip route versus the buy and hold route. All right, let's talk through your advantages and challenges of fixing and flipping. Now, you will have fast returns, which is a huge advantage when fixing and flipping. Capital isn't tied up for years like buy and hold. You can also leverage market booms. If home values rise quickly, profit margins can increase, which is a nice little plus. You can also, so there's no long-term management hassles, which is super valuable. You don't have to get so involved. You don't have to hire a property manager. No tenant-related issues or maintenance costs after sale. You're in and you're out, hopefully in 3 to 6 months. Challenges. High transaction costs. You got realtor fees, which we took into account, reno cost, which we took into account, holding costs like taxes, HOA, and utilities. Now, I did not take all that into account. Some of that is a little bit marginal, so I just took the major big numbers so we could get a general idea. Market timing and risk. If prices drop before the sale, profits shrink or become losses. So while on one side of the deal, if the market rises, you can do well. On the other side of the deal, you do have the added risk if the market starts dropping, which is very likely over 17 years. You're going to see those rises and those falls. You are going to have a little bit more risk there. Now, it requires expertise. And I guess the best question to ask is the extra $300,000 that you're going to make net present value worth the added risk of the market rising and falling? That's a question that only you can answer. Now, it does require expertise and a network. You basically are going to need a team, a network in place. There's no way around it. You will need contractors, you will need inspectors, and you will need market knowledge. You can get a lot of that with me. I've got a network in place. I've got the market knowledge. If you have the right broker in your corner, that's going to make this process a whole lot simpler, and a whole lot easier. Now, active involvement, it's more like a business than a passive investment. You are going to have to dedicate active hours of your life every week to managing these operations, checking in on jobs, making sure everything's rolling, making sure your broker's doing his job, making sure your contractors are doing their jobs, hunting the market, staying up to date on market knowledge. I mean, it is going to be very, very active, a whole lot more active, in my opinion, than buying and holding, than, handling Airbnb text messages from guests and calls and things like that. Now, there will be a little bit of activity if you buy and hold, of course, but I don't think it will be as intensive because you have to move when you're doing fix and flips. You have to be active and on that thing and involved and make sure that it gets sold and you make a profit. So in my opinion, I feel like the Airbnb buy and hold side of it is definitely less intensive. All right, guys, let's talk about the key takeaways for investors. Buy and hold, it's going to be best for long-term passive income and equity growth. Fix and flip, it's going to be higher immediate returns, but requires constant deal flow and active management. Scaling potential, buy and hold allows investors to leverage equity over time, while fix and flip relies on active deal execution. Market conditions do matter. Flipping is riskier in declining markets for sure, while rentals will provide you with consistent and steady income. Now, guys, I get calls and emails every day from investors just like you looking to invest in Myrtle Beach, South Carolina. If you are looking for commercial properties in our market, let's say that you're looking for office space, you want to buy an oceanfront hotel, you want a multifamily property, you're interested in a duplex or some industrial property. No matter what type of commercial investment, I want you to know that I am a CCIM candidate, and I am more than happy to run all of the analysis for you, to build the spreadsheets and the models to make sure that you have had adequate due diligence done on your deal. Metrics like cash on cash return, metrics like gross rent multiplier, metrics like the before tax internal rate of return, the after tax internal rate of a return. We will go through the time value of money and make sure that you're making a sound investment through net present value. I'm talking about, the handful of metrics that we can simply run on the back of a napkin to make sure that you're making a sound and that your initial look at the investment is sound. So that way you don't get into the deal and find that you're wasting a ton of time because the resale value on the property 5 years from now is not going to make you the kind of appreciation that you need to make when choosing between the stock market and commercial. So you need somebody that's in your corner like that, that's going to really do the due diligence for you and make sure that you're getting a really great value and that you're not leaving any cash, taking too much excessive risk, and wasting your time looking at deals that really won't get you what you need. So give me a call. It's 843-360-1737. I'm Brandon Kunasek. I am a local broker right here in Myrtle Beach, South Carolina. And again, I am a CCIM candidate. So I'm the commercial guy that you need to get your deal done.